My name is Victoria Crowe and I'm an artist, a painter. Well, the ideas come just from living part of your life. I use a sketchbook a lot, always have done, and so any thoughts, it doesn't just have to be drawings, but any thoughts about aspects of the things I'm interested in, nature or people or art history or whatever, I can note down in this sketchbook. Sometimes they'll be used, sometimes they won't, but it's very, very important to keep this collection of ideas in a sort of accessible place, so that with a sketchbook you can open it and flip through it and all sorts of new juxtapositions come up. And that's really how the ideas get nurtured. I think all good portraits are never just about what somebody looks like in a brief flash of time. I'm very lucky, I suppose, with some of the portraits I've done because they've been of people I've either known or whose work I've known very well and I've wanted to paint them. So that has given me a kind of in right from the beginning. The R.D. Laing portrait, for example, in the Scottish National Portrait Gallery, has got all sorts of images that relate to the conversations that we had when we were working together. References to Christianity and getting a different perspective on the world. And also there's a real gift, which was the cover of one of his books, The Politics of Experience, which showed a man and a woman, a naked man and woman fighting, and they were inside, it was a quote from a Bosch painting, I think, and they were inside the outline of a human head, and above them was the all-seeing eye. And that just seemed a wonderful symbol of the kind of unorthodox psychiatry that R.D. Laing was involved in. But it's not a question of just putting a random symbol in a portrait. It's got to be something that the artist has found out by being open and listening to the person. Another example would be a portrait that I did of Dame Janet Vaughan down in the London National Portrait Gallery. And she was a very, very powerful, strong woman, a scientist, an innovator, a political activist, and an educator. And my portrait of her shows also a kind of fragility and an openness, a sensitivity. And that wasn't just because of her age. I think it was because during one of the sittings, she talked to me one morning simply about what happened when she, as a medical member of staff, went into Belsen at the end of the war. So she was involved in seeing all the horrors that were there, and it kind of came through in the painting, so you have to listen. Well, don't go to art school unless you're going to really work hard. That's important. If you think about it, everything around us has been touched by an artist in some way, whether it's building design or car design or fashion or jewellery or film, television adverts, everything. So there's a huge, huge range to learn about. But I think the most important aspect about going to art college is that it gives you time. Apart from being challenged and having to think in a very, very different way, it gives you time to assess what sort of person you are. And the more you know yourself, the better the artist that you're going to be.
Electric and magnetic fields, when they oscillate, will push each other along through space at the speed of light.